Hey everyone, welcome to another outdoor intrigue video. Today we're bringing you a little bit of a gear breakdown and review. Appropriately, it's drizzly here in Scotland, and we're going to talk about waterproofs, which is something that's very near and dear to us. We live on the west coast of the Scottish Highlands, which is one of the wettest places in Europe, and in the northern hemisphere even, and we live specifically in a place that's pretty much one of the wettest of that area of the west coast of Scotland. So we get a huge amount of rainfall, and we have numerous numbers of waterproofs at this point that we use all the time. So what I wanted to talk to you about is a jacket and trouser combo that I like to use a lot. I use it for hiking and when we're out hiking and wild camping in the mountains. You can use it as well for trail running if you want something that's going to be really robust in very difficult conditions as well. And that is the jacket being the Arcteryx Beta SL hybrid, and the trousers being the Zeta SL trousers. Now the jacket, first of all, is made from two materials, which is why the hybrid in the name. It is Packlite Plus, which is very compressible, packable, lightweight and breathable, and traditional Gore-Tex, which is I think N40R, which is a slightly more tough and abrasion resistant material that they use through parts of the jacket that are more likely to get wear, like in your shoulders when you're wearing a pack, and on parts of the back as well. I find that to be really good. It's a very breathable jacket. It comes in at 360 grams on my scales, and I think Arcteryx quotes the same weight, which is I think light for a jacket that you can use right across the spectrum. So we've been out just recently in really heavy snow conditions. We had 70-mile-an-hour winds up high, snow being driven sideways. It was -20 in the wind, and this jacket was fine. It was actually doing really well. And likewise, today is, I don't know, 5 degrees Celsius and drizzly, and you know, it's just as good for that. So it's nice to have a jacket that you can use right across the spectrum, especially given that cost is going to be one of the major factors to consider with this. You know, Arcteryx items, so the major downside is that they really do charge quite a lot for the items, but if you can offset that with the positives and it's right for you, then they're definitely pretty worthwhile considerations. So good things about this jacket: one, it's pretty light; two, it's pretty damn tough. It can take a bit of a beating. Three, it's got pit zips. I love pit zips. On the majority of jackets, I really like them. The only time I don't is sometimes on a running jacket. If it's just really lightweight and super simplistic, then maybe you don't want it. But for a jacket that you're going to use for hiking and other things in the hills and have that versatility, I would definitely recommend getting pit zips, which it has. It's got a really nice hood. It's helmet compatible, but it also cinches down without a helmet on really well and makes you feel like you can really lock everything out when the weather gets brutal. It's got a nice solid peaked brim on it. It keeps the rain right out your face, which I really like. It doesn't have any inside pockets on it at all. It's just got these two outside pockets. They're pretty large, as you can see if I put my hand in. So you can store stuff in there, but otherwise it's super simplistic. It's got Velcro adjusters on the cuffs, pull tabs for your hood, and one adjuster at the back, and your pit zips and your pockets, and that's it. So it's, you know, it's a lightweight, tough jacket for mountain use, and that's how it's cut. It's cut reasonably high on the waist. It does come down slightly on the back. Personally, I would like it to have more of a drop tail so it doesn't ride up as easily. Particularly when you're carrying a pack, it really helps to have a jacket that's got more of a drop tail. It's one of those that probably is the only downside on this jacket, really. It is a very good waterproof, and really that's probably the main thing that I would change personally on it. Aside from that, having used it now for a few months and on multiple trips where we've been out for anything from a short hike to multiple days at a time, often in very rainy weather, it's held up extremely well. The main thing to consider is that you need to, with Gore-Tex, keep it clean and reproof it. If you don't reproof them regularly, they'll start to wet out and they just won't perform. You can even see in this one it's slightly wetting out today because I haven't reproofed it lately. So you really need to be doing that on a pretty regular basis. I do it after most uses. If I'm out for a couple of days, if I'm out for a few days and it's had heavy use, I'll reproof it when I wash it. So yeah, it's one of those, you got to keep it, bear that in mind. Stick it in the tumble dryer afterwards if you've got one to reactivate the DWR as well, and that way you can keep the jacket going and keep its life, you know, the lastability of it for much longer, where it would otherwise be dying and feel like it's not usable. If you keep on reproofing it and then, you know, taking care of it in that way, you'll make it last for well, years probably, to be honest. So that's the jacket. Onto the trousers. They come in on my scales at 250 grams. This is the previous model, so the new model uses the Packlite Plus material that's in this jacket. The trousers on this previous generation use the Packlite material, which is still very good, but the new model, it uses a more breathable material. It's also slightly lighter, so I think there's a 5 gram saving, 245 grams in size medium, the new ones, whereas these are 250. They're a really simple trouser. They just have a simple fly zip and one button pop closure on the front. They've got an adjuster on the inside, which I don't really like, to be honest. I changed it. I would not recommend doing that. It's an absolute nightmare, but it does dig into your hip slightly, I found, and is a bit annoying. I would have preferred it to just be an elastic adjuster, like a toggle at the front, like a lot of waterproof trousers are, but Arcteryx have tried to go fancy, and actually I think it's a bit annoying. The leg zips are 3/4 length, so you can get them on and off over trail runners and even boots to a degree. They've got one button closure down at the very bottom of the cuff on the hem, so that you can open the zips while you're wearing them and vent out if you want to. It's not perfect, but it does work. And then the other main thing to take into account is that because they are very lightweight trousers, they obviously normally would be something that people might be less inclined to use right across the spectrum for everything. But again, they're very versatile. I bought them so that I could use them for like ultralight backpacking, but they're that good you can use them for anything really. Like the only thing you might be hesitant to use them for is like ice climbing or very specific mountaineering, but I've used them with crampons and ice axes walking in the hills in winter. I've even taken them out and worn them when I've been running because they're that breathable. So I think, again, the cost is high, but if you can use something for a lot of different functionality and it has the quality that goes along with it, then maybe it's worth it. I don't really have many downsides to the trousers. Maybe sometimes I feel like the cut in the waist, if it had an easier adjuster, would be nicer and it wouldn't pull down as much. But aside from that, articulated knees are really good. It gives you a nice freedom of movement through the body. And because in both of these items you've got such a low pack weight, you're talking about 600 grams for your top and bottom, and top and bottom that you can use for when you're going for a really mild hike and you want to just carry them as like an emergency, unlikely to have rain but I want them in case scenario, or you can have them as your main waterproof setup when you're going out in really brutal weather, 70 mile an hour wind driven rain like we've had sadly recently on many hills. They'll hold up as long as you're reproofing them. They'll do the job. So I would recommend both of these pieces. The caveat being, think about your own use and cost and everything else. But in terms of downsides, there's not a huge amount there. They're pretty quality pieces that have been holding up really well for, well, hundreds of miles at this point, and an awful lot of ascent through the hills that we've been doing. Yeah, that's my insight for you. Hopefully it's been helpful. If you've got any questions on the items, just ask in the comments. We'll always answer. Otherwise, you can also check us out on Instagram at Outdoor Intrigue. And yeah, if you like it, then hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Stick around, we'll bring you plenty more content, bits of gear, adventures, all the rest. Take care, everyone.